If you've been navigating the aftermath of a relationship with a narcissist, you know that heavy brain fog all too well. Well, in this explainer, we're diving right in to confront the reality of that manipulation. We're going to ask the absolute hardest questions first to help you shatter that fog and regain your clarity. Section 1. Recognizing the narcissist trap. Let's look at the maze. So think back to the very beginning, right before you lost your freedom. Ask yourself, what toxic bait was sitting there in the narcissist's web that you willingly took? I mean, you were once this free, liberated soul. What specifically caught your eye and made you take that very first step into their maze? We're stringing these questions together for a reason, and that's to completely break down the illusions that trapped you. Was it a false promise? Did you actually believe they'd be your lifelong support? Or maybe you were blinded by this false sense of idealism, drawn in by insanely flattering words or a precious gift that literally seemed too good to be true. Pinpointing the exact deception you fell for, that is step 1 to making absolutely sure it never happens again. Because see, that bait, it was really just step 1 in a rigidly designed framework of entrapment. It starts with idealization, where they put you high up on a pedestal. But man, that rapidly shifts to devaluation. Suddenly it's endless criticism, insults, making you feel completely worthless. Then comes rejection, where you're casually discarded simply because you aren't feeding their ego anymore. And finally, hoovering. They love bomb you to suck you right back in. It's an exhausting cycle. Let's just take a quick moment for some visual and emotional grounding right here. Say it to the narcissist. Enough manipulation. Enough crossing my boundaries. But honestly, more importantly, you need to say it to yourself. Enough playing the victim. Enough giving your absolute all to those who do not deserve it. Right here, right now, this is where you reclaim your agency. Okay, moving to section 2, assessing your personal toll. It's time to look at your personal losses. I really want you to mentally pull up an old photograph of yourself, from way before this relationship even began. We have to tally up your profound losses here. Contrast that genuinely happy, liberated soul you once were with the exhausted version of yourself sitting here today. Seriously, look at your eyes in that old photo. What light has gone out? It's time to face the deeply uncomfortable reality of what this has cost you, both physically and mentally. What physical illnesses have popped up? Are you suddenly dealing with crazy hormonal imbalances or just chronic bone-deep fatigue? Think about your energetic body. What completely foreign negative emotions have invaded your space since entering this toxic dynamic? Are you endlessly procrastinating now because your spirit has basically been drained dry? You have to acknowledge these wounds. Now, what's really eye-opening about this ratio is how stark the imbalance is. A toxic relationship only survives because you are making endless sacrifices. Tallying up this bill forces you to face a tough truth. Your constant concessions, giving up your precious time, your rights, your energy, all just for scraps and insults, are exactly what enable their control over you. They didn't win some grand battle. You essentially surrendered your resources just to keep the peace. Next up, Section 3, Piercing the Gaslighting Fog. Let's expose the gaslighting. Let's identify the exact gaslighting tactics they used to literally brainwash you. How many times did they use denial? Insisting, I absolutely never said that. Or distraction, immediately changing the subject the second you confronted them. What about projection, accusing you of the exact lies they were spinning? It's wild. They aimed to brainwash you with ideas you didn't even believe, basically making you question your own sanity. So the crucial point of this chart is to track those endless fabricated stories. You need to directly compare their words with their actual actions. When you put what they say right next to what they do, wow, the contradictions become totally glaring. This single exercise exposes their utter lack of genuine empathy and practically proves that not a single word coming out of their mouth is authentic. Think of your interactions kind of like a giant control panel. You'll quickly recognize that 90% of their buttons are completely disabled when it comes to your needs. The help around the house or listen to my feelings buttons. Totally broken. But the buttons that serve them, like the book a vacation or buy me things buttons, oh, those are fully active. They basically manipulate your frustration by toggling these specific buttons to keep you lost and completely off balance in their maze. Moving right along to Section 4, cutting the dependency cords. It's time to sever the ties. Picture this. You act as a literal life battery for them. Imagine these invisible, energetic cords tying the two of you together. How many are there? These cords represent your deepest vulnerabilities, which they use to drip feed you validation and keep you entirely submissive. In their mind, you're just a puppet, and these cords, they're the strings attached right to their fingers. You've got to scrutinize your own codependent traits here. Why are those strings attached to you in the first place? Do you rely on them for financial support? Or do you heavily depend on them emotionally just to validate your own identity? They've been studying your needs since the very day you met because they know for sure that your point of greatest need is exactly your point of greatest weakness. Okay, so here is your practical framework for taking back your power. You have to flatten the relationship. Stop volunteering the personal information that they use as fuel for their drama. I mean, a fire naturally dies if it has absolutely nothing to consume, right? Ignore the unnecessary calls. And most importantly, systematically cut those cords of need one by one. Start with the weakest cord first and keep cutting until they are nothing but a moving shadow that has absolutely zero effect on you. Finally, Section 5, Reclaiming Your Lost Identity, Building the New You. To make absolutely sure this never happens to you again, you have to look inward. Ask yourself honestly, what psychological wounds have you carried since childhood that made you such a prize catch for a narcissist? Was it a deep wound of rejection, maybe humiliation or abandonment that left these invisible gaps in your old self? Were you simply overly empathetic or heavily naive? It's these unhealed wounds that made you susceptible to their targeted manipulation. It's time to literally write down what needs to change. Take a hard look at your old identity, the one that felt inferior, unworthy, or just seriously lacked firm boundaries, and compare it to the new you. You actively have to rebuild a personality that is fully aware, heavily protected, and will never ever yield to a narcissist again. And hey, you aren't aiming for perfection here. You are aiming for bulletproof resilience. Now, identify the resources you still possess. You actually have massive inherent strengths that they desperately tried to suppress and make you feel ashamed of. Things like your deep wisdom, your bravery, your self-control. And you probably have friends and family who can become your ultimate support team. Lean heavily on these tools. Set those rock-solid communication boundaries. You absolutely have what it takes to escape this. So when you stand in front of a mirror today, I want you to look deeply into your own eyes. Really confront the incredible, painful transformation you've survived. And ask that reflection, who are you now? Armed with the raw clarity of absolutely everything you've learned through this explainer, what new, unshakable identity are you ready to create today?